Hi everyone, my name is Ramana Reddy and I am a lawyer from Hyderabad. In this video, I wanted to talk to you about a one-time scheme that has been floated by the Commercial Taxes Department in respect of all tax dues that are pending or all tax disputes that are pending between the taxpayers and the government. So, as I'm sure you're aware, or even if you're not aware, that's fine. But before GST, some of these taxes were levied by the state, which included VAT, for example, or which was the sales tax law, or which included entry tax, for example, on goods or vehicles, which was again levied by the state government. Now, what has happened is there's been, there is pending disputes. There are pending disputes under those statutes, and these are just legacy disputes between the taxpayer and the department. So the department is saying you need to pay, whatever 10 rupees that the assessee is saying, and I don't need to pay anything, or I may have to only pay 2 rupees, and so on and so forth. And there are disputes, and these disputes could go on for years in various tribunals and for the High Court or even the Supreme Court. Now, the government has realized that all these amounts put together that are disputed are huge. I think the GO says something like there are about 3,000 crores that are stuck up like this. And now the government has, I think rightly so, has thought, there's no point fighting this thing through. Sorry. Let's just settle these disputes with the assessees. So now they have come up with a scheme, and this scheme contains the settlement or the settlement terms that the department has brought to the table. So what are these terms? So the terms are that, there's the first term at least, is that you must pay 100% of undisputed tax. So let's say that you file an appeal or you file a writ petition questioning a tax order, and the tax order says, okay, Ramana Reddy, you have to pay 10 rupees under the tax order. Now, let's say out of 10 rupees, 2 rupees, even I am not disputing, but I've just filed it. In that case, the department says, okay, for those 2 rupees that are undisputed, you will have to pay them. I pay, let's say I agree to pay the 2 rupees. Now, what happens to the balance 8 rupees, which I am disputing, which I am saying, I don't have to pay the 8 rupees. Now, for the balance 8 rupees, what the government says is that if the balance 8 rupees was due under the APGST Act, which is the Sales Tax Act before 2005, so if your dispute concerns an assessment year before 2005, that would most likely fall under the APGST Act. It says then in that case, for the balance 8 rupees that you are disputing, you have to pay 40%, which comes to roughly about 3.2 rupees, for example, that you have to pay. And the balance amount of, so 8 minus 3.2 will be waived off. Now, if your assessment year is after 2005 for sales tax, then you will be covered by VAT, which is value added tax. Now, in that case, for the 8 rupees, the government says you must pay 50%, which is 4 rupees. So out of 8 rupees, you'll have to pay 4 rupees. They will waive the balance 4 rupees, and you are out of the litigation that way. If you are, or if the balance 8 rupees concerns entry tax, which with regard to goods or to motor vehicles, in that case the government, this is steep, but the government says that you need to pay 60% and not 50%. So if you admit, say 2 rupees, the 8 rupees that is what you're disputing under the entry tax acts, and then you may have to pay something like 4.8 rupees or something like that. You can do the math. So now, what is the advantage of going under this scheme? Well, number one, your entire dispute is closed. You will not have to pay any interest or penalty. Now, there may be cases where the disputed tax may not be 8 rupees. It could be greater than 25 lakhs, for example. In those cases, the government has said that if it is more than 25 lakhs, it will allow you to pay in 4 installments. You can take more installments if you want, but we will apply the bank rate. The applications open on 16th of May and they close on the 30th of June. They've constituted a committee to consider all applications. Now, the scheme I think is a welcome move by the government for all taxpayers. And if you are looking to get out of tax litigation, you should. That is something that you must definitely consider. And even though the scheme is out, there are questions that still remain. For example, let's say that out of the 10 rupees, like we said, 2 rupees you're admitting, 8 rupees you're disputing. Now, to even maintain the dispute, if you have to file an appeal under the VAT Act, for example, you need to pay a pre-deposit of 12.5%. Now, that means if I don't pay 12.5% of the 8 rupees, my appeal will not even get numbered to begin with. So, the question remains whether, if in the 40% or 50% or 60% that the government is asking me to pay, and the balance which it is willing to waive, whether the amount paid as pre-deposit, which is already paid, will also be taken into account into the amount that I'm supposed to pay right now. That is still unclarified. There are several other questions in the scheme that have to be thought about thoroughly before going through with it. Therefore, I strongly recommend that you talk to your lawyer and decide for yourself. I think first thing to see whether you should go into the scheme or not is to actually look at the merits of your case. Do you have a good case? If you do have a good case, then you could just avoid the scheme altogether. But if you feel that the law is against you or the facts are against you and you may not win the appeal, then or the writ petition, then it may be advisable to go under the scheme and at least get waiver of a portion of the tax due and a waiver of the interest and the penalty. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.